Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Thursday, September 28th, and this is our video commentary. Got a couple of topics today. First of all, I want to talk about President Trump and his tax plan. We're going to get into more of the plan and some of the specifics later in the podcast. But for today, I just want to tell you, I think it's a good start. It basically deals with simplicity of completing your tax return. I think it also puts the tax brackets into basically three, which I think is a good thing. But I think the most important part of the tax plan, the part that I think will have the biggest consequence on the American economy and the most positive consequence, I should say, on the American economy, is the idea that you can repatriate cash back in the United States without having to pay a huge tax. I think that's going to be huge for the American economy. That's going to create a tremendous boom, a tremendous injection of cash into the economy that will translate into more manufacturing, more jobs for the American people. So that's the part that I think should be done and should be done as quickly as possible. Some of the other specifics, as I say, we'll get into more of that when we do a podcast. But simplicity and repatriation of cash, I think those two things will be very, very well received by the American people as well as the American economy. I want to say a couple of things about Mrs. Obama, Mrs. Michelle Obama. You know, I've always avoided talking about first ladies, at least in a critical way, because I think the first lady has to be respected. She is the wife of the president, and that's it. It's a ceremonial position. She shouldn't be involved in politics, and most of them are not. In the case of Mrs. Obama, most of the things that she did were not political. But she just came out with a speech, and I'm not exactly sure what she was thinking. But she basically said that the women who voted for Mr. Trump were not voting for their interest. And I cannot understand that. I cannot understand that. Most of the people who voted for Mr. Trump were people who had voted for her husband before. A lot of them were driven by economic interest. A lot of them were not convinced that the Democrat Party was looking out for them. And I also think a lot of women voted against Mrs. Clinton because they didn't support her position on abortion, on same sex marriage. They didn't like the fact that she called a lot of Americans deplorable. And there were just also, frankly, a lot of ethical questions, a lot of ethical issues with respect to Mrs. Clinton. So the idea that everything is about gender or everything is about race, this is a big mistake that the Democrat Party is making, and they continue to make it. And then they wonder why they don't win elections. You know, you can take an automobile ride from the Atlantic coast all the way to California and not drive through a single district that voted for Mrs. Clinton. So a lot of women didn't vote for her. It had nothing to do with her gender. It had a lot to do with her policies, or in many cases, her character, which I think was a big factor in the opposition. Have a wonderful day, everybody. We save all of these video commentaries over at YouTube. We also put them in Twitter and in the blog. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you later.